Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Mythgard in Middle-earth. I'm Corey Olsen, the Tolkien Professor, back with you, and as always, I am joined by my small green friend Gryfflet here, who has returned from the Hall of the Huntsman and his visit to whom I conclude to be the servant of Orome, one of Orome's people. Actually, I have an update on that. If those of you who attended the Treason of Isengard class on night before last, on Wednesday night this past week, will have seen a passage in the earlier drafts of the Fellowship of the Ring, which is really interesting in relation to the Huntsman. Anyway, so let's, I'll come back to that in a second. But first we got to get moving here. So Gryfflet is, so he had to leave the Hall of the Huntsman, and he's back in Llanuch here, ready to continue the quest that Halberid set him, which is Ergathorn, like the dude Ergathorn, who's been leaving cryptic messages, and they don't know who he is, and they think he's probably a good guy, but they don't really know. So we're supposed to find him, or something like that, I guess. So that's what Gryfflet is getting ready to do. But in the meantime, he's just sitting here enjoying the nightlife in Llanuch, which chiefly seems to involve sitting next to the campfire, or standing, alternatively, next to the campfire. So don't say that there's no nightlife in Llanuch, because obviously there is. But anyway, up and at him, Gryfflet. You can say goodbye to your friend, Woman of Enid Wife, and take off that. Whoa, hello. Okay, look at that night sky. Oh, a lovely view of Hardirian. I can never remember the name of that place. Hardirian. Anyway, yeah, it looks lovely there on the far hill. You gotta think, like, when you look at that from here, right? Like, imagine all these Dunlandings, right, living here in their little huts, their little thatched huts, and looking over at this huge thing with the ginormous statues, and you know, you kind of wonder, like, how this has been integrated, like, into their mythology. Mythology, I say, because, I mean, it's old, right? I mean, it's really old. Sorry, Gryfflet, don't stand in the middle of the road. That's rude. I mean, we were figuring that's an Arnorian statue, right? That's an Arnorian building, which means it would have been built at the time when the Greenway was in full function. So we're talking about thousands, more than 1,000 years ago that thing was built. So built around the same time as like the White Tower in London, right? And there they are, right? Here they are with their huts on the hill over here, looking over at that thing, which will have been there for as long as any of their ancestors can remember, right? It's got to be somehow an element in their mythology, you'd think, right? They don't talk about it. Well, maybe they're just not talking about it to me. Anyway, all right, let's head out. Mount up, Gryfflet. Away we go. Down to the Lich Bluffs. And we'll see what kind of fun we have down in the Lich Bluffs. Okay. All right. So anyway, let me tell you about the Treason of Isengard thing. So there was this one passage, and I was immediately thinking of the Huntsman in the Mornshaws. I didn't talk about it that much because the Treason of Isengard folks, you know, the people who are attending that class with me are not all, or even most of them, Lotro people, and I didn't want to, start talking a long time about things that they're not, most of them won't even know what I'm talking about. So I didn't talk about it then, but I was thinking about it. So I've been waiting to talk about it with you guys. So, okay. You remember that passage. For those of you who weren't at the class, let me just kind of refresh. You remember the passage in The Ring Goes South when they're going through Holland? And there's that speech that Legolas makes, which is a bit weird, right? And he's like, the elves that lived here were of a kind strange to me, of the Sylvan folk, right? And he says, that only the stones remember them, right? That, the birds and the beasts don't tell tales of that sort, Pippin has just said. And he's like, no, the birds and the beasts don't remember them, but the stones remember them, right? And he says, and he's like, so he can hear the stones lamenting them, right? Like they are, high they builded us, strong, but they are gone. They sought the havens long ago. In the published text, that sounds like kind of metaphorical in some sense. Like it's a little unclear exactly what Legolas means. Like, is this just like some kind of vibe he's getting or something? In the original draft of that passage, which is what we were looking at in Treason of Isengard, first of all, it's much more explicit that he is. It's much more explicit that he's talking to the stones. Like the stones are actually telling him telling him stuff. But that's not even the most important and interesting element of that passage. Hang on, let me talk to Mincham here for a second, and then I'll come back. Mincham, he was the one who is in Fornost, right? Or the one just south of Fornost, looking over. If so, boy, this guy gets like the shaft when it comes to, he's like a white magnet, basically. A WIGHT, he's not a WHITE magnet. Okay, all right, yeah. Anyway, sorry, yeah. Trouble in the Bluffs.
Our journey is a long one. I hope not too long.
You hope your journey isn't too long? Well, I mean, that's a weird thing to say. Okay, hi, yeah, good to see you again, Mincham. You didn't even, you had your fire put, look, you had a fire here to sit next to and you let it go out. That wasn't smart. But I guess if there is many unquiet dead in the area, I might have let it go out too. This place is grim and dark and foul in such a way that even the fields of Fornost are not. Hey, I did remember you correctly, Mincham. Well, that's interesting. They're grimmer and fouler than the fields of Fornost. That's a fascinating comparison, as there's like a wight crawling through the trees about 10 yards behind you. There appear to be a large number of wights, yep, there he is, that have been raised recently, and oathbreaker shades that haunt the land. I may need your help. All right. Yes, you may need my help, Mincham. Let's see. What's going on here? Remnants of the past?
Shadows lie along our path. We must seek to pass beneath them unnoticed.
Okay. In the past few months, there have been sightings among the Ukluth of foul wights rising from their barrows. These creatures are defiling the ancient dead in a most horrific manner and threatening to spill out into the inhabited lands. Defiling the ancient dead. Ah, okay, so when he refers to so it's not like the wights are going around and they're digging up dead people and doing things to them. I think, Mincham, do you mean here by like causing the corpses to walk around and do stuff? That is the defilement of the ancient dead, right? So the creatures in question are the spirits that have entered into the barrows, and the like animation of the barrow wights and making them walk around. That's the defilement, right? Am I tracking with you here, Mincham? I think that's what you mean. Seek out the foul monsters and defeat them. Sure, yeah, no problem. Wights can be found throughout the southern and western barrows of the Lich Bluffs. I'm sure it doesn't look like I have a hard time finding them, as again, there's one pacing right behind you. So, servants of the master.
Stirs in the shadows, and the Grey Company has need of aid.
Pack of fell spirits, the Algreg clans call Kun Anun, right? Met some of them. Have settled among the hills and valleys of the Lich Bluffs recently. These creatures are fearsome and an indication of a darker power at work. Can you seek out Kunanun in this area and defeat any that you may find? Sure, yeah. They may be found roaming. Sure. No ordinary hounds. They are demons of the ancient world. Oh, that's interesting. A demon of the ancient world. You may remember, of course, that's the very phrase that that was used to describe the Balrog, right? So, I mean, lesser scale, presumably, than the Balrog, but demons of the ancient world. Very, very interesting choice of words there. Okay, Mincham, no problem. We will keep an eye out for all of those things. Wights and dogs. I mean, demon, evil dogs and stuff. Okay, so while I do this and look for, like, the entrance to that other place, hi, yeah, can I select? There you go. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going back to the Treason of Isengard passage. So here's the other thing that Legolas says in the first version of that passage that got taken out of the later passage. It doesn't make it into the published text. So if you haven't been studying the Treason of Isengard with us, you might be unfamiliar with this, but it's super cool. He talks about like why he's like having a hard time knowing much about this area. The Holland as they're passing through it, right? And he says, the spirit that dwells in this the spirit that dwells in this region is alien to me. The spirit that dwells in this region. He says quite clearly. He says that there is a spirit which is like in charge, right? Which inhabits that area and is clearly like the sort of like custodial spirit of the region. And it's of a kind that's alien to him as one of the woodland race. So it's not a woodland spirit. And so therefore, he's like, I don't know. Like I can't make heads or tails of the thing. Like I don't really get it. And that, of course, is really interesting, right? Because there are already hints, even still surviving, of course, in the published text, that that Tolkien... Okay, so like I said, I don't have a remit to kill Oathbreakers, so I won't. Hang on a second. Let me check my loot box. As I recall... Aha! See, I thought I was going to start to accumulate quest items. I love it when I catch it the first time. What's this? Broken amulet. A fragment of an amulet appears to be worn with age and is scrawled with an ancient text. It may lead to something which will shed more light upon the mystery of the Oathbreaker shades and the Lich Bluffs. Well, I'm keen to shed light upon mysteries of Oathbreakers. Perhaps you should take this fragment to the Ranger Mincham, who is well versed in ancient languages. Oh man, was he like Kendith's study partner in his correspondence course? That's great. I'm telling you, those Rangers, they really go in for lifelong learning, and you have to respect that about Rangers, right? I mean, you think they're just sitting next to campfires doing nothing. No, they are sitting next to campfires, and they are, they are expanding their minds. They're really engaging in some quality personal enrichment, which you never know where that's going to come in handy. All right.
I hope we come to Aragorn's aid in time.
Me too. Okay, we seem doomed to meet ever and anon among the dead. Yeah, I know, right? I was noticing that too. You just seem to have a nose for this kind of thing. Okay, the markings seem to match some of the symbols on a few of the local barrows. Okay, when I first arrived, a hermit named Hlud approached me and asked me to keep an eye out for objects bearing these markings. Okay, should I go talk to Hlud? A hermit who inhabits a small grove. Searching for relics from older days, distinction there. And this fragment you brought me appears to resemble some of these things he seeks. Seek out the shades that have been haunting this place. Okay. My hope is that you might be able to find the missing half. Alright. Complete the amulet and bring it to Hlud. Okay. So now I do have a remit to try to search Oathbreakers and try to find the other half of the amulet. Okay, no problem. All right. Ooh. Well, that's where the hermit is, huh? Okay. I'll go back to those other ones then. So the spirit who lives in this region. Now, if you think back to the published Fellowship of the Ring, especially the Fellowship of the Ring, we already have good reasons to think that that's sort of how the world... Tolkien's world works. Right? How kind of vague is that? That is to say that there are spirits, they're, spiritual beings like Maya, basically, who live in particular areas and are kind of responsible for it. We know, because we meet two of them, right? One we meet very sort of personally, right? Do you guys have it? Yeah, you might have the second half of the amulet. Let's just frisk you and check it out. Okay. Goldberry, of course, is the first one, right? That Goldberry is the river woman's daughter, and if that means anything other than poetry, right? I mean, if that's anything other than a purely poetic title, it certainly seems to suggest. And remember, and this is, of course, right the passage that we got to in... exploring the Lord of the Rings this past week. When we meet Goldberry, when the hobbits first go into the house of Tom Bombadil, she is contrasted with an elf, right? Like they're prepared to meet an elf, but she's not contrasted. She's compared to an elf, but she's distinguished from an elf. Meeting her is like meeting an elf, but it's different from meeting an elf. So she's clearly not elvish. She is some kind of nature spirit, essentially, some kind of spirit of water, spirit of the river. And that's relatively clear. We don't meet any others of those But having met Goldberry, there's no real reason to think that there aren't others, right? Then, of course, we do meet another one, and you remember who the other one is, right? Who's the other spirit? Now, I'm not counting Tom Bombadil here, because Tom Bombadil, I think, is likely in a somewhat different situation, or a slightly different relationship with stuff. Who else? Where else in the Fellowship of the Ring do we meet a spirit who is attached to a particular geographic spot? That some kind of, like, nature spirit-ish. Old Man Willow, Druid's Fire. That is a really interesting suggestion, and I think it likely to be so. Remember a couple things here. When we meet Old Man Willow, I mean, so when we've been talking about Old Man Willow and exploring the Lord of the Rings, in the comments that I'm getting from students in class, everybody's wanting to talk about it in terms of Huorns and Ents, right? Totally understandable, right? Because that's very natural. What did I just hit? I totally just hit the wrong skill right there. Anyway, so it's, again, totally natural, because being familiar with the Lord of the Rings, that's the language that we're familiar with, right? That's what we, how we think about this. But let's not forget that that's really anachronistic. It's very clear Tolkien hasn't thought of Ents yet. Ents and Huorns, the Old Man Willow predates Ents and Huorns, right? Can he be retroactively made to fit into the sort of the Ent and Huorn construction? Sure, yeah, absolutely he can. Tolkien was really good at fitting things in like that after the fact. But to look at Old Man Willow and just think that the Ent and Huorn category totally explains and embraces him is to ignore the chronology, right? Old Man Willow existed long before Treebeard. Right? Or rather, he existed when Treebeard was just the name of a probably malevolent giant. And that is a normal giant, not a tree. He wasn't a tree at all. He was just called Treebeard. That was his name. He was a human giant, as far as we could tell. Okay, I seem to have missed my opportunity to find the other half of that amulet. Do I have to go into that barrow? Maybe I do. Let's go into the barrow. Because here I saw this open barrow, and I'm like, do I go in here? And then I'm like, maybe not. I'm talking about Ents and Huorns, so no, I guess I can't. I'm too busy to do that? What am I doing? What am I busy with? Okay, alright, fine. It's a weird thing to say. You are too busy to walk through this open door right now. It's like, what do you know about my calendar, man? Okay, but why is it that... So the second half of the amulet, though, I gotta go back up here. I didn't find it. Unless it's in my loot. Is it in my loot? No. Okay, that would be annoying. Kind of obnoxious, actually. Okay. Second half of the amulet... He's up here, I guess. I just have to, kill and re-kill these condemned warriors until I find the amulet? I guess. Okay. Anyway, right, so... Okay. So, Old Man Willow, right? Yeah. So, the question, again, so I'm not saying that the question of, is Old Man Willow an Ent that became tree-ish, or is he a Huorn that went bad? Exactly what is he? I'm not saying that that's, an irrelevant question, or a question that can't be asked. It can, from the context of the rest of the book. But another question that can be asked about him, and in my mind, an even more interesting question, at least at the stage in the book that we are, when we're talking about this, even more interesting is, what was he in when he was invented, right? When Tolkien wrote that passage, how was he thinking about Old Man Willow? And I do think, Druid's Fire, that it is possible to understand Old Man Willow as essentially sort of a woodland spirit that has embodied that willow tree and has been kind of running amok. The thing that to me most forcefully suggests that concept is the influence that he has over all of the rest of the trees, right? It seems fairly clear that Old Man Willow holds the other trees in the forest under his sway, under his influence, in some sense or other. And that's like kind of the thing that a woodland spirit might do, right? So I do think that it is possible to read Old Man Willow that way. But it's not inescapable. So that's not the example that I was thinking of, because I think it's very plausible. But it's not open and shut. There's another one that's definitely open and shut, and somebody said it. Phil Boswell, was that you who said it before? Karathras, yes. Yeah, Matthias said that too. Matthias, is that how you pronounce your name? I get thrown off because, of course, my son is named Matthias, the English version of that. But of course, I'm guessing it's Matthias because that's how every Scandinavian I've ever met wants to pronounce my son's name. So I'm assuming that that's how your name is probably pronounced. But anyway, yeah. Karathras. In the Fellowship of the Ring, like the mountain, it is clear that the mountain is malicious, right? There is some spirit which is watchful and which has the power to like throw snow at them and all that kind of thing. Oh, hey, look, I found it. When did I find it? I totally missed finding it. I guess what happens, that's what happens when you're talking and you don't pay attention to... So here's poor Gryfflet, like frisking the Oathbreakers and finding the amulet, and I didn't even notice. Okay, fine. Yeah, that's the Swedish pronunciation. I thought so, Matthias. Anyway, okay, so Karathras, right? Karathras is clearly a spiritual entity, right, that lives in the mountain of Karathras, right? Mountains don't have consciousnesses, right? Mountains can't throw snowstorms. It's not like a major stretch to think there's something odd going on there, right? There is some being that lives in Karathras, that animates Karathras, that is sort of assigned to that area, or not assigned is wrong. It makes it sound delegated, which maybe it is. But I don't know of any way to... Did I get all my whites? I think I did. I still need more. Kuna Nuno. Hey, Demon of the Ancient World. Here, Demon of the Ancient World. So Karathras and Goldberry are the two, I think, fairly unquestionable examples of this kind of... So we know that this kind of thing happens in Tolkien, that it is at least possible, right, for there to be spirits, like minor, compared to the Valar, minor spirits, who still live in the world and who have sort of custody over, affiliation with, an intimate connection to parts of the landscape, right? Geographical areas. Goldberry with the river Withywindle. Karathras with the mountain, like whatever the spirit is that lives in the mountain Karathras, I suppose. So anyway, yeah. So that's definitely a thing. Legolas's comment in that initial passage suggests that is, or not suggests, confirms that concept is a general. Those are not flukes, right? It's not just that Karathras and Goldberry are like random isolated holdovers from the old world. What it suggests when you combine Goldberry, which we've already met, Karathras, which we're about to meet again in The Ring Goes South, and that comment that Legolas makes about the spirit of this region is alien to me. Right? Remember that. Think about the implications of that. Right? Not only, hey, there's a spirit who lives in this region, right? But he's a kind of spirit that is unfamiliar to me, which implies there are other kinds of spirits that are familiar to me. If this were a woodland region and it were a woodland spirit, then, like, I'd be down with it and we could hang, right? And I'd be able to get more information from it. But, you know, it doesn't say that he's hostile, just that he's alien, right? He's unfamiliar. Because because I am of the woodland folk, is what Legolas says. Clearly implying if it were a woodland spirit, they'd be cool. So presumably Legolas would be cool down in the Mornshaws, right? So this idea of the spirits, like these spirits that are being reverenced by the Dunlandings, right? That actually seems to be a legitimate Tolkienian idea. The idea that there is a huntsman, a spirit who has been delegated by Orome, right, to sort of oversee this area, and that there are other woodland spirits associated with him. So presumably we have spirits that are of Orome's people and spirits that are of Yavanna's people, probably, sort of working together, right, and living in this area, just like those 4 ancient spirits that Gryfflet met last week, right? That's seems to be part of the initial conception of Middle-earth as Tolkien was fleshing it out. And this seems to be part of his extension of the Silmarillion world into the world of the Lord of the Rings. I've argued in many places before, when he wrote The Hobbit is not connected to the Silmarillion world. It recalls it. It recycles ideas from it, but it's not contiguous with it. It's different. It's separate. They're not the same story. And he starts off The Lord of the Rings like The Hobbit in that separate world, which is not the same world as the Silmarillion. But during the early drafts, he makes the decision, I'm going to bring them together, right? I'm going to actually make the world of this story that I'm writing about the Ring of Power and the Hobbits and everything, I'm going to make this story, make my stories from the Silmarillion tradition historical to this world, right? And so as he's integrating that together, well, part of the Silmarillion mythos is that the Valar, who have sort of jurisdiction over different parts of the world, right? Manwë in the air, Ulmo in the waters, Aule in the earth and of all craftsmen and everything, Yavanna of the growing things, plants and animals, basically. And each of them has their people. They have a whole bunch of Maya who serve under them. They have a bunch of Maiar, rather. Maya is the plural, or Maya is the singular. Maiar is the plural. They have a bunch of Maiar who work under them. So they have like unspecified numbers of folk. So there's a whole bunch of spirits of air. There are a whole bunch of spirits of earth. There are a whole bunch of spirits of trees and animals and things. And therefore, it seems, when we see this stuff, when we talk the spirit of this air of this region, what it seems was Tolkien's conception at that point, at least, was that these people of the Valar are in Middle-earth, right? That they still are. That's you still meet them sometimes, right? Witness Goldberry, witness Caradhras, right? So anyway, it's really interesting. So Mick, yeah, sorry, I know I'm kind of throwing a lot in here, Mick, and if you're not familiar with a lot of this stuff, I'm kind of going a little fast here, I know. Let me try to give a little bit of the... Mick, I'll give a little background on the publication history, right? Or rather, the publication history is much less important than the history of how the stories developed in Tolkien's mind. So I'll give, and Boromont, weren't parts of the Hobbits changed in later editions? Absolutely it was. So I'll talk about that in a second. Let me talk to Hlud here. Or is it Hluth?
We have little to say to your kind.
Probably Hluth, right? As the DD is voiced, right? At least in Welsh. I'm pretty sure that's true. Okay, Hluth. Yeah, my ranger friend sent me. Hope the 2 pieces of this amulet, when mended, become the object that I have long sought. My belief is that this amulet may be the key to an ancient hreg, a curse, that has held the land and causes men to wander as shades across the Lich Bluffs. Oh dear. So there's a curse, Oathbreakers, got it. Always those are the two elements, right? You want to create a fleet of undead, you need an oath broken and a curse, right? Okay, all right, good. Thank you for delivering these. No problem. How can I help further? Let's see. Okay. Assemble the amulet. I already did that.
If you have something to say, speak it.
Okay, right. Your hope has been when the item is mended that it might weaken the shades that stalk this troubled land. I fear a great evil has bound them here and they have become dangerous. Well, I agree they're dangerous. Okay, take both pieces of the amulet and seek out several of the unusual cairnstones that dot the landscape. These ancient cairnstones are covered with inscriptions that are much older than those that surround them. Much older than the inscriptions that surround them? Okay, anyway. The inscriptions on these stones match that of the amulet and can hopefully be used to help mend it to its original shape. Oh, because it's still in two pieces. Right, okay, gotcha. I travel to the southeast and locate several of these cairnstones. Place the amulet upon them and then bring me word of the effects. Okay. All right.
There are dark things in the night shadows.
Thank you for recovering both pieces.
To face them.
Okay, once it's repaired. Okay, right, yeah, you said that. To the northwest, there are many shades that stand vigil over several barrows. For some reason, these creatures are not aggressive unless provoked. Seek out a couple of these shades and present them with the amulet. If you should learn anything, return to me. Okay, so there's a mournful shade and a sorrowful shade, and I should show them the amulet. Am I trying to cheer them up? Sounds like it. Do you think it'll cheer them up? I don't know if it'll work, man, but I'll give it a shot. Okay. So, Mick, let me give you the sort of background story here. Now that but anyway, just to finish my previous thought. So you see how this relates to the huntsman, right? The really cool thing is that it shows that the Lotro folks are absolutely dead on. I mean, I know that I can imagine, and I think I've heard this, that, there's some people find and most people find the huntsman cool, right? But some people find it sort of controversial, right? Like that's not in Tolkien's world. It is how Tolkien's world works, actually. It's true that people don't encounter them very often, right? And it certainly doesn't make it into the plot of the Lord of the Rings story. But it seems pretty clear that it is definitely part of the world as Tolkien conceived it. And that is super interesting. So kudos to them for, I mean, as always, so many things. And I've said it before many times, the more I play this game and the more the reason that I enjoy playing Lotro so much is that the more closely it's like any good book or film or anything like that. My test for if something is really good, is really sort of a great and interesting study, is when I look at it closely. When I really study it carefully, does it reward that? Does it? Okay, what's gonna happen? Nothing. I found them. I was supposed to tell them what happened, and nothing happened. So, okay. But anyway, the more closely I look at it, the more it rewards that study. The more cool and interesting stuff I find, and that, as I say, that's pretty much my definition of awesome. So, anyway, okay. so Mick, let me give you a brief history. Tolkien wrote the Silmarillion stuff first. Even that is a little bit misleading because, of course, it changed a lot over time, right? But the very first stories that Tolkien sat down to write were stories which, in their final form, will eventually make it into in a form will finally make it into the Silmarillion. It's, these stories of the ancient world of the elves. And like he says in the preface to the second edition of the Fellowship of the Ring, his work is primarily linguistic in inspiration. It started with a series of interrelated elvish languages that he made up. And the stories of the Silmarillion world emerge from those language groups that he had established. He had already written 3 versions of the Silmarillion material before he wrote The Hobbit. He wrote The Hobbit 1929, 1930 is about when he wrote The Hobbit down, started writing The Hobbit down. So he was basically composing The Hobbit between about 1930 and 1933. Now keep in mind, 1930 to 1933, Tolkien was 38 to 40. Already at that point. You know, it's easy to think of The Hobbit, because it was his first major published book, as like an early work of Tolkien. The Hobbit is not an early work of Tolkien at all. I mean, it was published in 1937, and by then he was 45, right? So, you know, this is not like the first book of a young author, right? The first book of a young author was the Book of Lost Tales, the original version of the Silmarillion stories, which was never published, right? That was his early work. So he wrote that, abandoned it, decided to come back and say, hey, you know, it would be even better to take some of those stories and do them in epic poem form. That would be awesome. So he started doing that. He wrote a version of the Turin Turambar story in alliterative verse. He wrote a version of the Beren and Luthien story in rhyming couplets. That's where that's what he sort of interrupted himself. And he started doing a new kind of version of the Silmarillion materials. The form that eventually became the published Silmarillion, this kind of plot summary style where he just kind of goes through and describes all the things that happen. And he started doing that. That started in 1928. What he called the sketch of the mythology. And this is a thing that happened to Tolkien a lot. He was like, okay, I'm just going to write a brief plot summary, right, just to kind of sum up what happens in the first stage, and it kind of gets away from him, right, and becomes a bigger thing, and then he takes that and revises it and expands it, and it becomes the Quenta Nolde Rinwa, the first sort of fuller version of like the modern Silmarillion, essentially, and that was in 1930 that he did that. So that's right at the time that he's writing The Hobbit. But when he writes The Hobbit, he's doing a different thing. He's just telling an adventure story to his kids, and what you can see is and he never really intended that for publication. Okay, belong to your captain, a symbol of your cause, and with it you may find peace. Hey, great. Catalin, right? All right. That's cool. I don't have to show it to the other dude? The mournful shade? I don't get to cheer up the mournful shade, just a sorrowful one? Okay. Oh, no, I do. Okay, yeah. Well, I was going to say, I only saw the one shade. Okay. I guess I'll go uphill then and look for the other one. All right, so he's still, like, you know, he hasn't in any way abandoned the Silmarillion. He's still revising those stories and thinking about those stories. But at the same time, he's got this fun sort of fairy tale that he's been writing, which is eventually going to get published as The Hobbit. And he does not think of that as it's pretty clear that he doesn't think of that as like, you know, sort of consistently part of the world of the Silmarillion. I say that that's clear because if you look at the details, it does seem fairly clear. So there's lots of stuff. Like basically what he does is he recycles elements. Like he has these stories that he's written and he loves those stories and he thinks they're really cool, right? So he draws on them like a source material. So just as the story concept, right, of the thief sneaking into the dragon's lair while the dragon is sleeping, stealing a golden cup and escaping, and thereby exciting the wrath of the wronged dragon, who then leaves his lair and goes and destroys a town, right? That story is in Beowulf. And he takes that kind of story concept, that story element, which he really loved in Beowulf, and he puts that element, right? He incorporates that element into The Hobbit. Similarly, he incorporates a bunch of story elements from his own stories, just in the same way, right? So you have an elven king of a woodland realm whose secret magical fortress is underground fortress next to a river, right? He looks a lot like Thingol of Doriath. He's not Thingol of Doriath. You can tell he's not the same dude, right? I mean, he's got no wife and he's got no daughter. And those were the two of the very most important defining elements of Thingol in the Silmarillion tradition, right? He's not Thingol. He's not the same, right? Thingol without Melian by his side is not Thingol, right? It's not the same story. It's a recycled version of that same story. Elrond of Rivendell is not the same Elrond as the Silmarillion. You can tell when he's introduced in the Hobbit mind. When he's introduced in the Hobbit, we're told there are a bunch of people who have elves and heroes of the old world both as their ancestor, and of those people, Elrond is the chief. That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make a lick of sense from the Silmarillion standpoint. Elrond is unique. There is exactly one person in Middle Earth, according to the Silmarillion tradition, who has ancestors of the old world, who has heroes of the old world and elves as his ancestors, and that's Elrond himself. He's not chief of anybody, right? There are no other half-elves, according to the Silmarillion tradition, especially as it existed at that time. If you're thinking, wait a second, didn't Elrond have a twin brother? Nope, not at the time The Hobbit was written. Elros, the twin brother of Elrond, isn't invented until 1937, so he doesn't exist yet. Elrond is an only child, and when I say an only child, he is an only child. He's completely unique, right? So again, he's recycling the concept. He's got a half-elf dude, right? So in his Hobbit story, he wants to have the last homely house, and he wants it to be this kind of it's a marginal space, right? It's the last homely house. It's the boundary between the tame and familiar world and the wild on the other side, right? And so the person that he has run it, which is kind of cool, right? It's a half-elf, right? So somebody who is on the border of the two kindreds, right? And that's really neat. So what does he do? He names him Elrond, right? He pulls the name from the Silmarillion tradition and the half-elf concept, but it's not the same guy. It's not the same story. It's a recycling, just like he's recycling Beowulf into it. So that's what he's doing when he writes The Hobbit, right? And that's cool. It's fun and it's awesome. And he never thought the Silmarillion was going to get published, right? So hey, why not use this stuff? Arkenstone too, by the way, right? Totally a recycled Silmaril. And great, why not, right? Really cool stuff, the Silmarils. He loved the Silmarils. So he recycles it. Later on, when he sits down to write the sequel and The Lord of the Rings begins to grow into what it begins to grow into, there is this moment, and we talked about this in the Return of the Shadow class, which we did. You can see the Return of the Shadow class on the Signum University YouTube page, are the videos of the Return of the Shadow discussions. And we talk about like the turning point in his career, that moment when Tolkien actually, you can see the moment he brings the firewall down. And that moment is when Aragorn, who isn't named Aragorn yet, sings the song of Beren and Luthien, right? That's the moment when he says, I will sing you I will tell you the tale of Tinuviel. The firewall's down. And from that moment on, he's integrating the Silmarillion story and the Middle-earth story, The Hobbit and its sequel, right? And he's bringing those things back together. So it's really, really, really fun. The Silmarillion never does get published, of course, in Tolkien's lifetime. Later on, after he writes The Lord of the Rings, he's trying to get them both published. He was actually preparing the Silmarillion material for publication after The Hobbit was... So The Hobbit gets published, right? 1937, finally it comes out, and it's really popular, and they're like, the publishers are like, oh man, this is great, like, get us some more of this, right? And so he's like, well, I don't really have any other ideas for stories, but I have this other thing, right? And so he's so behind the scenes, Tolkien is like preparing the Silmarillion for publication, thinking like, this is it, this is the moment, this is what it's going to look like. And that's what you can find in the volume of the History of Middle-earth called The Lost Road. So anyway, that's a brief history of sort of how these stories grew in Tolkien's mind. So anyway, so The Hobbit did get revised later on. After the Lord of the Rings is published, it gets revised because there are some changes that he made to sort of make it more consistent with the later vision of the story. It didn't change much. He almost never did change much. But of course, there are some changes. Most significantly, Chapter 5, the Gollum story is changed very radically. Well, it's interesting. The number of words that are different, it's actually only a few paragraphs, but the effect is very radical. Anyway, okay. You shall grant your strength to this amulet so that the people may find rest. Hey, well, that's nice. That's very generous of you. Okay. So I'm supposed to go back. Am I close to Mincham too? All right, hang on. I'm going to go back and hand in my White and Kunanun quests to Mincham as well. I'll do that first. Let's mount up to do that. Okay. Anyway, cool. Yeah, and I see you've got lots of other folks who know a lot about this, who are giving more information too here in the chat as we're talking as well. But it did seem only fair to give a little bit more background. Having just tossed that off earlier on, that's not quite fair. So that's cool. All right. Oh, wow, you guys have digressed into lots of other topics here. Oh, you guys are talking about the pointy ear elf question, yeah. Let's see, all right.
Our journey is a long one. I hope not too long.
Okay, yeah. No, I totally cleared the way.
The Ogreig remain neutral, but for how long?
Okay, whoa.
The minions of Orthanc are growing stronger in these lands.
Well, hang on, Mincham. I want to pursue this amulet quest, all right, if it's all the same to you. There's a whole bunch of other things, of course, obviously I could be doing here, but let me hold off on that for a second. Just wanted to turn those in. And now I'll go back to my friend Hluth and see what's going on there. Okay. Oh, hey, yeah, Kiriana, you wanna fellow up to do the Hlade Ogo quest? We can. Excuse me, where's your door? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, Hluth. So yeah, those spirits were helpful. The rocks less so.
Leave us alone. We will leave you in peace.
Okay. The Cairn stones are said to date back to that time, and now the amulet appears to be mending itself. Really? I didn't notice that. I believe those Cairn stones were left by a branch of an ancient Hluth clan that fell to conflict within itself. This may be what caused the shades to be bound here. That sounds promising. Sounds like an oath might have been broken there. Okay. And now it's okay. The spirits spoke to you upon presenting them with this amulet, but it does lend credence to a belief that I have held. These shades are held here due to an ancient Hreg curse upon their people. Yes. Hey, yeah, let's free the people from their sorrowful state. That would be swell. That would be much more efficient than Mincham's idea of just killing a bunch of them. Okay.
We have little time to speak, or little to speak of.
Thank you, Hluth. The origins of this amulet are very old, and now that it has been repaired, it does indeed appear to be what I have been searching for. The amulet itself is not an extraordinary thing. However, it may be the key to ridding this area of the shades that roam the land. This amulet belongs to Catalin, the son of a chieftain, who perished ages ago. I believe that this amulet may be able to be used to awaken him, and that he may be a powerful ally in attempting to cleanse these lands. Well, that doesn't sound like it will backfire at all. Okay. Yeah. Let's go to the barrow, man. Follow you, but be on your guard, for there are those that would stand against you. Sure. Okay, the rise of the fallen sun. Oh, hang on. I gotta do this one solo here, Kiriana. Okay, there we go. I gotta do this one first here. Okay. All right, let's go. I will go on alone. Because what could go wrong?
The shades of a Dunland clan stir restlessly amid the barrows of the Lich Bluffs. What broken oath binds these poor spirits to the confines of this world? Perhaps the shade of one of their heroes holds the answer.
The shade of one of their heroes. Oh, Mick, Sam is your favorite character in The Lord of the Rings? Yeah, you're reading it right. Okay, hey, look. Notice the carvings, huh? Huh? Look at that. See, these swirly marks, very similar to the ones that we saw in the Great Barrow, right? Back in the Barrow Downs. This seems to be the style of, like, ancient pre-Numenorian Middle-earth peoples. Generally, right? At least as far as their funerary architecture is concerned. Oh, look at that wall. Was this bricked up? This looks like the Kool-Aid Man burst through this wall or something. So I guess it's not a door. This was actually bricked up. That's interesting. Hey, it's Kaladin's tomb. Just looking around here first. Roots on the ceilings. Little cobwebs hanging down. What's this? Tables? Workstations? Cubicles? What do we have here? What is this? An altar? A fireplace? No? Whoa. We've got... What on earth are those? This looks like goblin stuff. Like... Oh, it's a carving. Not an actual skull. So that's a carving of something... holding a ring in its teeth. From which skulls, again, those look like carvings. They're too small to be real skulls. Are dangling. Weird. Could that be a real desiccated head? And if so, is it a human head? It's kind of pointy. I think it's a carving. Too fleshy. Again, unless it's like preserved desiccated flesh or something. Creepy. But I don't think so. I'm going to go with carving on that. And what's on top? Wood? Those bits of wood? I can't jump in there? No. Oh no, they're not bits. They're sticking up from the bottom. Okay. Okay, carved like those little monoliths, those not monoliths, whatever they were called. Up above. Okay. Of the same provenance, probably. Oh, more of these. Okay, so authentic skull. Skull with a hat. Okay, skull wearing hat. Okay, so those are just skulls. Not desiccated heads. So, ooh! Desiccated corpse. Mixed evidence. Cowering in a fireplace? I don't understand. What was his job? Is this a door? No. Woodpile? Skeleton behind it. Okay. I don't understand these tables. They look kind of like altars. They're a little unsettling. What is that? What is in the mouth of the... See this big, huge figure with eyes and a funny nose and a mustache and a big old square something in its mouth. And... Whoa, help. A dragon. A dragon on it, which looks remarkably like the dragon tattooed on the chest of Iron Fist. Don't know what to make of that. Predates him, of course. Huh. Dragon door in the mouth of a... Two dragon doors in the mouths of carvings flanking the tomb. That just can't be good. Yeah. Oh, hey, Maven. Yeah, so, as Maven suggests, we're doing the final Erebor raid tonight. That's tonight, isn't it? Yeah, we're going to do the final Erebor raid. Which one is it? What's it called again? I'm forgetting what it's called. What's it called? Battle for Erebor. That's the one. Yeah, 9:30 Eastern Time on twitch.tv/SignumU. We're going to be doing the Battle of Erebor. Yeah, Battle of Erebor. It's going to be awesome. Okay. Now we've got a bunch of these little rocks of varying sizes, and then big old statue here. The central shrine. Weird. Dude holding sword? Scales? What is he holding? A rope. And that thing goes right across his eyes. That's crazy. So he's blind? Blinded? And there's a tomb and an urn. Who's in the urn? A mounted warrior. And... oh. Interesting. I mean, that... well, I say it's clearly a funerary urn. It might not be. It might just be a treasure pot. Right? Because... and if you think that's a funny design for... like, why would you put treasure in a big old pot like that? I don't know, but Tolkien did, right? In Tolkien's illustration, Conversations with Smaug, the famous picture of the pile of the treasure with Smaug sitting on it and Bilbo invisible, like bowing in front of him and stuff. That's there. If you look in the background, there are pots full of gold. Pots that are kind of shaped like that, so it could well be treasure pots. It does look very Greek, Phil. I agree. Yeah. Druid's Fire says maybe the drapes were done later. Well, it could be. See, I was thinking that, Druid's Fire, that maybe it's a symbol of the oppression of the spirits, right? So, like, this represents him, but his blinding, like he's blinded and sort of shrouded, and that was constructed later malevolently, right? In order to indicate that he's, sort of, I don't know, what? Suffering. Let's look at the tomb. Okay, I haven't seen that pattern anywhere. At least I haven't noticed it. Whoa. Not a tomb. Just a bier. Right? Dead body just lying on top under a blanket. With a sword. And a nice helmet and a very impressive head of hair. I want to jump up on your tomb because that would be super rude. Okay. You have a spiky crown, somewhat reminiscent of, like the Angmar crown, but not nearly so over the top. Very modest and self-effacing spikes compared to that. But look at that spiky ball at the pommel of your sword. See, that doesn't inspire confidence, Mr. Dead Guy. What kind of a good guy has a spiked pommel like that? Ooh, and are those little extra blades on the guard of your sword? That's hardcore, man. Okay. All right, Catelyn. Your words cannot express your gratitude, good hobbit. The amulet that you have placed upon my tomb belonged to my beloved. Ah. Your people still suffer due to the actions of the man that was my father. That's an interesting choice of words. You look like the Brennan. On the eve before I was to wed my beloved, my father broke the bonds of hospitality and murdered my wife and her kin. Holy cow. That'll do it. Following the deed, my father presented me with a broken amulet. The amulet was a gift I gave to her when we decided to wed. Your hope is that if we can lay your father's cursed spirit to rest, the people will find peace. Okay, yikes. So, I mean, talk about in-law issues. Good grief. So your father disapproved of your marriage, so he broke the laws of hospitality, which is a super big deal, and killed your wife and her family. Yikes. Okay. Following your father's betrayal, you had a group of your friends away from your home as none of your followers could believe what your father and his men had done. Okay, so we saw no other way to avenge this foul deed but to stand against them. Unfortunately, after some time you were defeated, and you were laid in this barrow and held here never to be free. Who held you? Who administered the curse? I will need to gather strength before I can assist you further. Uh-oh. The shades of your father's men. All right. He's mustering his strength. I'll protect you. I'm good at that. Hey, muster strength, right? Don't worry, I'll tank him. Gryfflet is good at that. I even remembered to use a medallion. How about that? That it? We good? No? Hi! That's right. Oh, I hate it when you do that. Come on. You're just delaying the inevitable, man. Just invisibly bleeding out. Are there more? I see you've got the spiky robe. Those were in even back then? Okay, hey, no problem. They were pretty easy, actually. Okay. Weakened am I and weary of this curse. My people suffer from this curse because of my father, but I am not wholly without blame. Okay, all right, cough on that one. I was a very capable hunter and sought out the Free Helvark, a powerful spirit near here. Yeah, met him. Yeah, he's a stand-up guy. Tall, right? Really big, kind of scary, shiny eyes. To bless your betrothal upon completing an arduous challenge, right? Been there. Did you get the riddle right? It was the one on the right, right? Is there no spoilers there with the... Okay, the marriage, right, he blessed the amulet that you recently recovered. Oh, the marriage was not to last, however, for my father murdered my wife, right? You mentioned that, sundered the amulet. My belief is that when my father slew my wife and broke the amulet that I had given to her, the curse unfolded upon us. So it would be the curse of the huntsman, essentially, having desecrated the thing that the huntsman blessed as a sort of a symbol of him. So like, you know, that which the huntsmen have blessed, let not any cranky father put us under, right? But he did, right? So, okay. All right. Your belief is that, okay, right, the curse unfolded upon us. Such an act of betrayal is what brought this down upon us. Please go so that I may regain strength and summon those who would aid me. All right, and then are we going to have a rumble? That'll be good. Okay. Great. Hey, Thluth, good news. Yeah, he seems a nice guy.
Leave us alone. We will leave you in peace.
A tale that's been passed along for generations, but apparently not passed along by you to me, thus making it easier. The people have fallen to an ancient curse for breaking an oath. Not quite that simple. They are bound to roam the land without rest. Okay. My hope is that by learning what exactly happened, we might be able to release them. We just established what happened, man.
You are a Devonian from distant lands.
Okay, let's find the ancient resting place of his father, Fernvile. Okay. Among the barrows, there may be markings near the entryways that denote who was interred at each place. They may provide clues to the identities of those who are buried within. Great! I love that. Finding clues to things. Seek out those markers in front of the cairns. One of them will be Krug Fernvile, I am certain. The symbol of a crowned bear. Oh, well, that's a good tip. The first cairn marker lies to the north of here, the second to the south, and the last even further south, deeper into the barrows. I wonder if that's it. If you find Krug Fernvile, you should bring news of its location to Cadalin. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay. So let's see. Let's mount up to do this. All right. So let's go to that tomb that I was too busy to enter before, because that seems promising. And on the way, let's draw the aggro of every white in the region. Can we do that too? Because that seems like fun. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm around the other side of it. Aren't I? No, where the heck am I? Where am I going and what am I doing? Oh, it's up the hill? Oh. That's not the one I thought it was. What's that other open tomb doing then? Totally expected that that would have a... that would have a purpose. Okay. Bed stone. Curse stone? Isn't that what he said that meant? Okay. What do we see? What's on it? I can't actually see the inscription? Yeah, and what do I see when I examine it? Oh, come on, man. I don't get to see the inscriptions. Getting ripped off over here. Okay. You know you're pretty boss when you can sneak past... when you can sneak past ghosts. Alright. Let's see. What do we have? No. No. I thought that was the second inscription. Okay, now we gotta go south of here. Alright, fine. Oh, you're right. That was Rev. And it shows there's me not paying attention. Okay. Let's go down this way. All right. So I go. Oh, come on, man. Would you stay up on the hillside? All right. So let's see. We're up on this. Okay. Alright, let's see what we see here. So we've already examined some of these, and it didn't seem to do anything, but okay. No. Oh, this is disappointing, though. I want to see the inscriptions. I want to examine the inscriptions for myself, not just be told that I examined them. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. I found the second inscription. Which is what? Does the quest text tell me? If I ask nicely? Nope. Huh, okay. Further to the south? Is this far enough south? No. Okay, man. Look. You really want to mess with Gryfflet? I don't think you do. Okay. See, Gryfflet came back to Llanuch so that he could do some inventory management, and also he needed to beef up his legendary items a little bit. So he's a... Ooh. Whoa. Is that a white factory? That looks a little ominous up there. Yeah, oh, a couple of them. Oh, dear. And a Numenorian settlement. Oh, man. There's got to be something bad to stir up the hill there. Over here? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is Ostunhoth, I'm pretty sure, Phil. Yeah, I'm not too far from it. Yeah. See, it's right over the hill there. Yep. And it's pretty tall, Ostunhoth. I examined it. Hey, it's Krug Fernvile. I wish I could see the crowned bear for myself. That would be awesome. Oh well. Okay, talk to Catalin at Krug Catalin. Oh, is he the other guy? The other one. The open one. Never mind. Okay. Uh-huh. So I have to find the other guy's tomb. And since I zapped there, I don't even really know where that was. Okay. Quest arrow now. Hey, look, the dwarf marker. I've spent so much time off-roading here. Oh, this is the one that I couldn't get in before. All right. That's good. Okay. All right. Hey, Catelyn, I'm home. I mean, no, I'm not home. I do not want this to be my home. I'm back, is what I meant to say. Still hanging out here? What did you do to your beer? Did you dismantle? What happened to your corpse, man? Come on, that's just creepy. What did you do with your corpse and the beer upon which it was resting? And yes, I do mean B-I-E-R, not B-E-E-R. I was saying, hey, man, where's the beer?
Leave us alone.
Okay.
We will leave you in peace.
Your knowledge of your father's final resting place shall lead to my people's freedom. Great! What's the plan?
We have little time to speak.
You were visited by a powerful emissary of the Free Helvark. Excellent! As he was the spirit that blessed my union, I asked if there was a way for my people to be freed from his ancient curse. He asked that I choose a champion to go forth and confront my father with what he had done. I bet he was thinking of me, frankly, because I just passed all his tests and stuff, so he's like, there's a really studly halfling around who is, like, totally worthy of the... I sent my man to seek out a safe path. I will indeed enlist your aid to defeat my father. Good. You'll return the amulet that you have mended, as it may aid you in fighting him. Sure. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's go. I'm here to represent the Free Helvark. My men have returned and found an entrance to the place. Right, okay. Yep.
The oath of Fernvile, father of Cudaline, binds the shadows of the Lich Bluffs to their earthly tombs. The only hope remaining for these poor spirits is the defeat of their dark ruler.
Their dark ruler, who is a pretty bad father, I have to say. Hey, look, I did hit them both. Oh, these guys are wimps. Hi. Yeah, excuse me. I need to talk to your, I don't know, what was he, king? Chieftain? Like your evil overlord? Dude, I guess he was your rightful lord, so there was that. Ooh. Okay, so more of those creepy workstations around the side and the creepy dragon mouth dudes, but yeah, Phil, these quests hi, you're the captain. Oh, good. Yes, Phil, you can they're unrelated to the Huntsman quests. Okay. All right, so what is this structure in the middle? Oh, another dragon door. Huh. I don't have to kill these guys, do I? Oh, excuse me. Pardon me. I didn't mean to turn my back on you, because that's rude in almost any social environment, including among the shades of the unquiet dead, apparently. So I'm just gonna stealthing not working, apparently. Hang on. What, can I not stealth myself? Can I not sneak down here? Okay. I must have double tapped it or something. Okay. So let's sneak past. Excuse me, Mr. Condemned Warrior. Thank you. Don't need to kill you today. Yeah, not your fault. Probably. I mean, there we go. Fernval's tomb. That's what I'm looking for. And oh yeah, one of those kind of weird bird clawed, not quite dragon, more griffin-like sort of statue things. Ah, same statue, but without the draperies. 2 of them. You'd think there'd be, like, more sinister draperies here, right? More treasure pots. Oh, your tomb is so modest. And so square. Did somebody cut you in half when you died? Were they like, well, we don't have a long one. All we have is this square tomb. So we'll have to bisect him and overlap the halves. I mean, seriously, they must have chopped you in pieces in order to make you fit in. Maybe you were already chopped up in pieces, and they were like, since he's already been conveniently bisected, why should we make a full-size tomb? And really, they did not do a great job. Look at this. Look how much rougher and nastier this tomb looks. I think this guy's people didn't love him, right? This is not the tomb of a like a beloved leader who is gone. So I think this shows that the rest of the condemned folks are clearly were not on board with this, and they did not lament Fernval, obviously, because, I mean, look at this. They chopped him up and put him in a little box. Plain unmarked box, too. Oh, does standing on top not count as facing it? Okay, fine. Oh, there you are. Hey there, ugly. I'm gonna have a pie while you talk. He is somewhat mistaken. I mourn for the loss of his wife, but not for what preceded it. I intercepted a message saying that his beloved family would strike against us before the ceremony. Oh, sure, preemptive strike, right? I understand my son's anger in his search for that, for you killed his wife. And his beloved was a sorry victim. You will present me with other challenges along the way? Okay, look. Oh, hang on. Why am I not... There we are. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. As your son sent forth a worthy opponent, you're going to rest a moment. While I rest a moment, face some of my men. Well, no. Fine. Look, these guys, it's not their fault. And like I said, they really didn't like you. Clearly. So... I was trying to see if I could coup de grace you, like, from scratch. So that would have been pretty boss. Okay. Is that it? Come on, man. You got nothing. Just face it. You got nothing. A suitable display of skill. Okay. I mean, a few more of your men. Oh, come on. You're just putting off the evil day here. Oh, they're going to come in one at a time, are they? Okay, so you totally weren't, the bad guy. You were just defending people, like preemptively defending people, because you're sure they were gonna attack you. But look, man, the laws of hospitality are there for a reason. Chump. Come on. All right, here we are. It's a shame to lose such good men. Oh, now you're going to do your I'm bleeding invisibly thing? Okay. Great! Where is he? Oh, hey, look, it's the Huntsman! Hey, Mr. the Huntsman! After all these years... Okay, sorry, you never understood what you mourned that... What? I'm losing this. You mourn the loss of your beloved. They planned to have you killed... Why did you have to hurt her? She was an unfortunate victim. I'm unsure how our people are cursed. The curse levied upon your people was twofold. The first was due to the destruction of the... Yikes! What? Mr. the Huntsman, you're talking too quickly. The curse levied upon your people was twofold. The destruction of your gift, right? Okay. Oh, man. I'm backing up. All right. So you finally paid for what you did to my beloved, he says. And then Fernvile said, you never understood. Her people are going to betray us, so I betrayed them first. That is such poor reasoning, man. They planned to attack just before your wedding. I could not allow my people to be slaughtered like goats. Why her? Why did you have to hurt her? She was an unfortunate victim. Okay, now the huntsman's judgment. The curse levied was twofold. The first was due to the destruction of my gift, the amulet that was cleft in twain. Right. I told you it was the huntsman who levied the curse. The second was the breaking of the tradition of hospitality. Told you, man. Laws of hospitality. There for a reason. An oath sworn in earnest. While these men may have betrayed you, they were still guests in your hall. Yes, you betraying them first is not the answer. Anybody could have told you that. So, a curse was placed upon your people. This day, with the defeat of the transgressor, Catalan, your followers will go free. Fernvile, your people will remain for 10 passings of the seasons. Catalan, your people will fade within the next passing of the seasons. Okay. Tough but fair, man. I think the huntsman has this all sorted out. So they're not going to vanish right away, but soonish. I gotcha. Good to see you again, Mr. the Huntsman. Okay. Allow you to lead you from this place. Sure. Thanks. Well, I'm glad we sorted that out. Okay. I should talk to Lud and tell him the good news. Where am I? No idea where I am. Okay. Yeah, I assume the passing of the seasons means a year, not just like passing into the next season, right? Like one season. It's presumably a turn of the seasons, so. Oh, nice. Thought I could slide that. Must have galloped a little too exuberantly towards the edge there. All right. Okay, Luth.
What is your purpose here?
With the death of Fernvile, many of the shades in this land are free to move on. That's right. Bring honor to myself and my bloodline. Well, that's nice of you. Kind of you to say so. All right. Well, that was fun. But that's not the tomb that I came down here originally to find. That was a fun side quest because I found a broken amulet. So, okay. See, do I still have time? What do you guys think? How long will it take to do this one? Signs of a struggle. Uh-oh. Does this take that long? This instance? Is this a long instance? I'm a little worried. Because school started up again, so I got to go pick up my kids again. I'm coming up on carpool time here before too long. I've got a little bit of time, but not an indefinite amount of time. So, anybody know how long this instance is? 15 minutes? Cutting it close, but I think we can do that. All right. And carry on and come. Let's see. Okay. Look at this. We got all kinds of things here. Got a new title. What did I get? Oh, friend to the Algrag. All right. That's nice. Oh, look at that. All my legendaries leveled up. Leveling up all over the place. Okay. Okay. All right. Enough of this. Let's get to it.
Can the words of Ergathorn be trusted? If so, A messenger from Dunland must be somewhere in the depths of Llanuch, hurt and afraid.
So Ergothorn isn't the messenger from Dunland? There's a different messenger from Dunland that Ergothorn told us about, right? That's the story? Oh! Hey, Kurgrim! Nice. Hi, excuse me. Yeah, sorry, Froggy. Thank you. Okay. Where are we going? We're looking for lost Dunlanding messengers. Okay. Alright, let's see. Any Dunlanding messengers? No. Oh, they're Gryffindors. See, they're Gryffindors. That pretty much solves that mystery. Okay, excuse me, Dancing Light. Yeah. Oh man, this place is huge. Hi, Bestial Kurgrim. Yeah, sorry. Hey. Whoa, you're big. Oh, but so am I, so that's cool. Woohoo! I just did like 7,000 damage to you, man. That was kind of awesome. Okay. Alright, sorry, I'm gonna re-stealth here. Oh. Shambling whites now. Excuse me. Oh. Am I out of stealth? When did that happen? Hey there, Shambling White. So, you look kind of spry. I mean, like, do you really shamble? Do you shamble by choice? Is that like a lifestyle choice of yours? You're like, I'm a shambler and I'm proud of it, so, you know, get out of my business? Okay. Now, stay stealth for crying out loud. Whoa, a Kurgrim Heaver. Yikes. Don't want to come too close to that guy. Okay. Decaying White. Oh. This is going to take me forever. Excuse me. Sorry. Just being unconscious here. Hold on, guys. I'll be with you in a second. Yep. There we go. Oh, you're going to puke all over me, aren't you? Oh, man, I hate that. Oops. Sorry. I accidentally coup de grace you before you were almost dead there. My bad. Okay, let's see. Oops, where did my healer go? I thought she was right behind me. Maybe when I stealthed myself, I totally evaded my healer. Uh-oh. Look out, he may heave. Why am I not stealthed? Why do I keep emerging out of stealth? Don't do that, Gryfflet. There you go. Oh, man. Dead end. Oh, this is not a dead end. Something heavy was dragged up it. Like the body of a Dunlanding messenger? Okay. I'm headed in the vague direction of my healer. I found a gap. I could jump down to the lower passage. Okay. Sounds like a plan. Mud Eater. Are you a boss? Crypt Digger? Oh, it's a little cave claw. Hey, do you have a... Hey, that's a Dunlanding dude! Alright. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sneak up and I'm going to get you. The deepest chamber in Clyde Ogo. Haha! Take that! And a little more of this. Okay. Oh, that guy went down easy. Hey there! I've rescued you, Mr. Dunlanding guy. Ooh, look, it's another beer. Same blanket. Did you steal Catalin's body? Is this where they relocated it to? Oh, hey, Niren. You need to see the Brennan at Llanuch. Okay. Sure. This great beast attacked me as I was passing the entrance to this cave and you couldn't get away. Thank you for saving you. No problem. Fortunate I was passing by and so far from habitation. Yeah, just a coincidence. You bring a message from Lou Brennan of Tuath Morva in the south. He urges Glyn Brennan not to believe the lies of the wizard Saruman. Yeah, we already kind of took care of that, but good. The wizard has sent agents to the Brennan to try and buy his loyalty. He is worried that other clans may have accepted these offers. The Ukluth have not done so? Hooray! Okay. No, hey, look at that. Hey, Kieran, I didn't ditch you. I was just going. I thought you were right behind me. I didn't even notice that you weren't there at first. I didn't know, but were you fighting the other mobs? Because you were high level. I thought that you could just walk through them. Okay. Woohoo! No problem. All right. Time to talk to... Oh, they aggroed on you when I thought... I'm sorry. I thought because you were high level, I thought that you could just come through. I didn't think you had to fight them. Because... Yeah. Sorry. Didn't realize that. Thought they would ignore you. My apologies. Alright, let's talk to the Brennan here. No, I just didn't know it worked that way. Really, I'm sorry. Okay. What do you guys have to say? Oh, I don't need to repeat quests. Just now, I'm good. Okay.
This news gives me hope. We have some allies still.
Gives you from Lou Brennan of Tuath Morva, and it fills me with joy, for it means the Ukluth do not stand alone. You have some few allies still. Oh, good. Oh, hey, look. Let's see. I want a nice burglar's tools. See, I've got some of those. But more might be nice. Sure.
My Brehur and Brehuris will decide what must be done.
Okay. Speak with them and hear what they have to say. They wish to know the events that led you to find the stray messenger. Well, that's kind of... I don't really understand it myself, to be perfectly frank, so... Okay. Bring their advice to my leader, Halbarad. Okay. All right. We'll have to do that next time. So, we will hang here with Glyn Brennan, and then next week we'll get this sorted out. Maybe we'll get back to Zudugrund as well for next time. Okay, cool. Thanks everybody for joining me. I gotta go pick up my kids, so Gryfflet and I are gonna say goodbye here now. Don't forget that tonight we are gonna do the Battle of Erebor on the Signum U Twitch channel, so twitch.tv/SignumU, and that'll be tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so hope you can join us for that. Thanks very much everybody, and I will see you guys later. Bye now.